be a smooth talker just because you're a smooth ass dude. You know what I'm saying? But these things don't trump the physical attraction. I'm sorry, it doesn't. My experience tells me otherwise. Again, I'm not discouraging you guys from being confident, having a good personality and a mouthpiece, because at the same point, I've had women, now I don't know how true this is. They're just telling me what they've told me. I've had women that told me that they've gone on dates with handsome men that they thought were handsome in their eyes, that those men didn't know how to have a conversation. Those men didn't know how to ask good questions. They weren't showcasing interest in the woman. You know what I mean? They were awkward. So I do believe that, of course, you have to know how to talk to women, know how to speak, be a smooth talker, have confidence to you, have a good personality. These things are important, but hey, yo, there's dudes that believe they have all these three things, or hell, they may have all these. Let's just say they have all these three things, but they're out here approaching women that those women don't find them physically attractive and don't give them the time of day. I know some of you guys are gonna get upset about that. I don't give a shit, because I'm just going off my experience. And if you get in your feelings about this, then I don't know what to tell you, dog. But when you become that dude to women physically, they'll approach you in person. It's not gonna be that often. Right? But they'll approach you in person. They'll send their friend to approach you, or they'll approach you with their friend. That way, if you do reject them, the blow isn't as bad because their friend is with them, right? And oftentimes actually, they'll do this when they're tipsy or maybe drunk, but a lot of times when they're tipsy, they'll give you choosing signals in person, or they'll give you choosing signals digitally, like on social media. Let's say, for example, Instagram, they'll like a few of your photos. They'll constantly like your stories. Maybe they'll slide up on your Instagram story saying things like, oh, are you a personal trainer? Maybe you can help personal train me if you posted a shirtless photo of your physique. That's happened to me before. Or they may just be more direct when they slide into your DMs by giving you hard eyes, or giving you fire emojis, or say you're handsome, you're attractive. Or if you're on dating apps, which is something I help them do as far as attracting women to them and presenting themselves in the best way possible so they can attract women to them. Not only will you get more likes and matches with women, but women will message you first. They'll message you first, jump over all the dudes who are blowing their inbox up with all these corny pickup lines. They'll message you first because they find you physically attractive, right? And you'll also hear, going back to my first point about how women want men with dad bods and they don't care about muscles. You'll hear that women will say that men who post pictures of them, shirtless and showcasing their physique comes off douchey. Now, if you do too many of those photos, yeah, it can definitely give off that vibe, but it still works, bro. If you have a solid physique that is lean, proportionate, looks strong, masculine, and it's aesthetic, and women find it attractive, and you have a shirtless photo on your dating app, you're going to get a lot of likes. You're going to get a lot of matches. Women are going to be messaging you first and jump over all the dudes who are thirsting for them, and they're going to message you. And you have to think how dope that is. You kind of have to look at that as a big deal. That's something I had to think about too, because women have shown me their inboxes and they have a whole bunch of dudes hitting them up. But the thing is, they ain't checking for those dudes. That's why I always say in my videos that there is no competition for a man that is in shape and takes care of himself, dresses well, and just presents himself to the best way that he possibly can and fulfills his physical potential, because most dudes aren't putting in the work. Most dudes look like shit out here. They don't know what they're doing, which is cool, because that means more wins for us ambitious men, for my titans that follow me, right? We're ambitious men. We do everything that we
station incoming. Secure the supply boxes. Locations marked on your attack map. Enemies deployed a counter UAV.
some cash.
Supply box secure. 2 to go.
Hostile counter UAV overhead.
Oh. Fuck you.
We can to maximize ourselves to the best of our ability, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, financially, right? Everything. And the more you can turn yourself into what I would call a human magnet, meaning a man that can attract women to him, the easier your interactions and dating life with women will be, right? The more fruitful interactions and relationships and just overall experiences that you will have when it comes to attracting women. So with that being said, if you want help getting in shape, improving your physical appearance, overall maximizing your looks, and being able to attract your ideal woman to you so that you can actually experience amazing interactions and relationships with women, then I would highly suggest that you check out.
Good morning. So I got up at 4 a.m. So concept is toxic shame. Like that production? So now you might be wondering, well, what is this chart, this ominous blue man here that I may or may not have spent 20 minutes coloring in for you?
All right, your squad's in the safe zone.
Loot cache here. Moving here.
You got a loadout drop inbound.
Hostile Guardian has been deployed.
Mount to self-revive.
Mortar strike on the way. Enemies are dropping into the area.
Moving here. CNN, moving here. Fucking destroyed, bro.
We're still standing.
Fucking pussies. The blue represents your public self. This could also be called your persona. So in an interaction, if you alter yourself to be more likable, or you withhold opinions, or you're interacting with the world, that's a front-facing self. That is often your public self. But inside, there's a private self. This dissonance between public and private, that's where the shame creeps in. And then we internalize and say, man, if they really knew me, they would not accept me. They would reject me too. That's what shame is. That I am so bad inside, I have to hide myself. I can't accept myself. And if people really saw what's going on behind the scenes when I clock out of work, they'd be like, I can't believe we're trusting that guy to make decisions. And so this is why vulnerability is such a breath of fresh air in today's age. Because we all have a public self. Instagram. We all have a persona we're upholding. Social media. So I want to continue talking about this and share some personal stories from my life, if that's okay. I want to give you 3 signs how this really screws you up. Sign number 1 that you're struggling with toxic shame, how it messes us up, is you feel like you have to present a false self. When I met my girlfriend, I was like, holy cow, she's the most beautiful woman I've ever met. How do I say this? I was going through a cringe Instagram phase. Like, trying to be not necessarily like an influencer lifestyle, but I would take photos in like these weird places, be on tour in a band, and post cringy behind the scenes videos. It pushed her away to the point of where we sat down at tacos. I think it was like our 3rd date. And she said, I don't know if this is gonna work out. And if it is gonna work out, I feel like you're not being real. Like, I need the real you. Because I see glimpses of it, and I like that better than this cringy Instagram thing you got going on. And in that moment, we dropped all the fronts, and we've never dated from them since. And it's so ironic because we think that that's the most desirable part of us. We're like, oh, we can just act a certain way, and then we'll get all the validation or attention or love or whatever. But again, the irony is that pushes people away because they never get a chance to see the real you. So they're dating, if they buy into it at all, they're dating from a place of persona. And I find this extremely common with men today. You know, there's the whole like red pill movement where I think it's great that men have self-improvement that's just for them because they need different advice than women. We just operate in a different way through the world. But it goes too far to where now you have to alter yourself and develop this like masculine frame where she can never see weakness. And if you're playing into a role so much that it alters who you are, you're buying into a false self, a shame-bound identity. Now you're always worried, oh, they're gonna find me out. And if they find me out, this whole house of cards crumbles down because I'm not that person on the inside. Masculine, alpha male outside, scared inner child boy on the inside. But this also goes into interpersonal relationships. So I'll give you another brief story. I had this family friend growing up who every time we hung out, she would hog the mic and you could see people kind of like tune out when she started talking because she talked all the time. I'm not kidding, like every single thing was this long run-on story, so much energy, just like over the top. It was extremely hard to be around. And one day I asked her boyfriend, I'm like, hey, is she always like this? And he's like, no, she listens to podcasts and they all have that like crazy over the top energy. And I think she's trying to mimic it in social situations. And it was so sad because there were times where she was too tired to do that. And she was actually extremely likable. And I'm like, dude, that's the version we want to hang out with. Like, what is this like crazy over the top performance you're doing here? Like, chill it out. Most people label themselves introverts because they're interacting wrong. And if interactions are leaving you constantly tired, there's a 9 out of 10 chance it's because it's this persona. Because I know if you're someone who labels as an introvert, there's people in your life where you pick up the phone, talk to your mom, and you're just yourself because she actually knows who you are at the core. You don't have to uphold a persona. You're not worried about getting found out or judged. And that conversation, you walk away leaving energy. Or maybe it's a close friend. That's the kind of interaction we're talking about there. It's scarier to be yourself because if people reject that, then they're really rejecting you.
GG's,
but
boys.
if people reject the persona, it doesn't hurt as much because, yeah, that's not really me. I wasn't really trying. I'm not going to give my best effort because if I give my best effort and fail, then damn, that rejection hurts. The problem is that if you get success from your persona, it's never gonna feel as good. You're always gonna doubt it and question it because you're like, was that even me? Maybe they don't like the real me. And this cycle gets deeper and spins faster. Is this making sense? Sign number 2, you're struggling with toxic shame. This one, escaping to fantasy. You ever see that movie, Walter Mitty? I remember seeing that in college when it came out, and you know, I bought a solo ticket and I went on Christmas Eve opening because the previews had such good music. And it was these beautiful drone shots of Ben Stiller in Iceland on a longboard. You know, so the story, if you don't know it, he's working this average job and it's so mind-numbingly boring that he zones out all the time. And so Ben Stiller has all these grand visions of traveling, of proving, he replays conversations of telling someone off. He has all these fantasies in his head. And you know, someone flicks a paper clip at him and he snaps out of it and then he's back in his boring world. We all do that to an extent. If you're constantly escaping to a fantasy world where it's more exciting, then that's a sign of shame, because when you escape to a fantasy world, you can control what happens. You can make yourself who you want to be. You can replay the conversation in the shower and, you know, tell them off. But then the movie goes, Walter eventually gets fired and then he goes and lives those adventures in real life. And if you're like, well, I don't really daydream that much or escape to fantasy, escapism in general, I think, is a better sign here that we're in toxic shame. So escapism is withdrawing and self-isolating. And this comes in the form of addictions a lot of times. So video games for 8 to 12 hours a day, because that's safe, you can control it. You're leveling up a character instead of going through challenges in your real life. Escaping to pornography as a source of validation. You know, this is an area that has a ton of shame around it. No one walks away from watching porn feeling like, man,